members of the media, appreciate you coming on somewhat short notice. Obviously, here today, just want to officially introduce Coach Kaminsky as our new head men's basketball coach. Also want to thank Mike Berry, the search committee. Obviously, anytime you're a part of these search processes, they're very intensive and it takes a lot of time and effort from your staff, and so thank you to him and that group. We had a great pool this time around, a really deep pool, which was exciting for us at Wayne State. But that being said, Coach Kaminsky was the one who was able to not only communicate his vision for our men's basketball program, but the roadmap in which we're going to achieve success here. And obviously, with his vast amount of experiences in similar situations, able to turn programs around, he just was an excellent fit for us. I couldn't be more excited to have him here at Wayne State leading our men's basketball program and also, of course, being part of our staff. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Jeff. I'll let him introduce his staff, talk a little bit about himself, and what's been going on the past 30 days. So, all right, Coach.
Thanks, Mike, and thank all of you, first of all, for being here, even though some of you may have come because you heard we had an air-conditioned lobby here, so it's a little warm out there, but I do appreciate all of you being here. And a special thanks to Mr. Pawicki, Mike Pawicki, our athletic director, and as Mike mentioned, Mike Berry and the search committee, and President Ramus as well. I am thrilled to be the head basketball coach here at Wayne State, and definitely looking forward to all the things that we can accomplish, and hope to be here for a long time. Before I talk about all the things and all the reasons why I'm excited to be here, I do want to also express my appreciation to Valley City State, where I most recently was at for 11 years. And had a great experience here, and certainly me coming to Wayne had nothing to do with a desire to leave there. I think Valley City is a special place, and a lot of tremendous people that I had an opportunity to work with there. 3 ADs and 3 presidents. Have a great respect for the coaches who are on staff there at Valley City, and especially for the assistant coaches that I work with and our players. Our players had a great deal of success, on the court, off the court, in the classroom, and clearly without the success that they had, I would not have this opportunity. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had there, and certainly appreciative of all the people and players that I had a chance to work with. I also want to thank my family. I'm very fortunate in that I have a very supportive family. I'm originally from Wheaton, Illinois, and most of my family still lives in the Chicago area. My mom and dad, who I owe a great deal to, just moved out of their house in Wheaton and moved up to Burlington, Wisconsin. I have 2 sisters. My one sister, Kathy, lives near my parents in Burlington, and my other sister, Jan, and her husband, Rich, they live in northern Illinois. I have a brother, Scott, who also does some basketball coaching, and his wife, Jody, and they live just outside of Chicago, and they're very supportive. They'll be at some games, and when they're not at games, they will be watching games on the internet. And after each game, whether my mom is here or on the internet, she will critique the game. So I will get the scouting report there, and she usually tells me mostly positive, but generally she'll ask why I didn't play this guy more, that guy more, that guy more. And I continue to explain to her I can only play 5 guys at a time, and I'm pretty sure that rule will exist coming to Nebraska as well. But she's an advocate for the players, so that's definitely a good thing. But they're very supportive. Fortunately, with our conference, we get back that way quite a bit, getting into Iowa and Minnesota, and they'll have a chance probably to see a few more games than where I was recently at. So that's a good thing. Some introductions. First, I'm privileged to introduce my wife and best friend, Cindy. She's in the back there, and we've been married for 27 years, so they've been 27 great years for me. Not sure how many for her, but I think some or most anyway, so that's a good thing. But we met, she's originally from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we met when I was in college at Grand Valley State, and we've been together ever since. And she right now has the kind of the tough job of cleaning and selling, trying to sell our house back in Valley City. So she actually came down to Wayne last night, and this is the first day outside of the day that I interviewed here that we've actually spent in Wayne together. So we're looking forward to starting our new journey here and getting to relocate here, hopefully fairly soon. Also to my right here, I'm very privileged to introduce Nathan Stover, and Nathan will be our new full-time assistant men's basketball coach. We've had an opportunity to work together the last 11 years, so I'm excited to continue that relationship. Nathan was at Valley City State with me for 11 years as the assistant coach. Prior to that, he was a head high school coach for 4 years in North Dakota. And then prior to that, he was a graduate assistant at North Dakota State in Fargo for 2 years. And one of those years, he worked under Coach McDermott. And of course, that's a popular name around here. And Coach McDermott worked with Coach Stover for a year. And then, of course, he's gone on to have great success, as we all know, starting here and at North Dakota State, and now where he's at Creighton. One of the highlights of our season coming up is on November 4th, we will have an opportunity to play Creighton here at Wayne State. So we're excited about that. I'm pretty sure we're not going to be favored in that game, but we are going to compete. And we appreciate Coach McDermott and Creighton allowing us the opportunity to play in an exhibition game. To have an opportunity to play against the Big East school is a pretty special experience. So we had an opportunity to do that this past year with our team at Valley City when we went and played Marquette. So we're making the Big East rotation here, and definitely excited about that. And again, appreciate Coach McDermott allowing that game to happen. Coach Stover is married. His wife, Kristen, is from Freeman, South Dakota, so not too far from here. So she'll bring down some more fans to Wayne State games. They have a daughter, Kaylee, who's a year and a half old, and she's generally will be the center of attention when she's around. So, yeah. So we didn't have her here, or else the press conference would be all her. So, which is okay. That's generally a good thing. So, the rest of our coaching staff, Jordan Holdsworth is our graduate assistant, and he was in the program last year. And I owe him a great deal of gratitude. Before I was hired here, he was sort of a one-man show, running camps and getting recruiting started. And even as I got hired during this transition, he's done a tremendous job kind of keeping things afloat here. And he's not here today because he's in Iowa working a basketball camp there. But he's been on the road with us, and it's good to have him in the program. Not only was he here last year as a graduate assistant, but of course he was here as a player and had success here. So it's really good to have him with us. And then Tanner Cook was a student assistant here last year. He's also in a graduate program and working on his master's degree. So that will be our coaching staff. So really a great week for the assistant coaching staff here, with being able to formally have Nathan on board and signing his contract on Monday. So he's off and running here, and it's going to be great to continue our working relationship together. So we have a lot of work to do. This is a great conference that we're in. I have tremendous respect for the Northern Sun. I'm very familiar with the conference. My team's at Valley City, and going back to Superior, we played 12 of the teams in the league. I've actually been on 15 of the 16 campuses in the conference, so I'm very familiar with the conference. I have a great deal of respect. Obviously, one of the teams in our league won the national championship, this year. Without question, it's one of the best leagues in the country. One of the things that is going to make this job very challenging, is how good this league is. And it's a very competitive league from top to bottom. But it's also, to me, one of the reasons that makes this job so appealing. Because if you can compete, when you compete at the upper end of the NSIC, you in fact can compete nationally. And that needs to be our goal. So I'm definitely excited about the opportunity to coach at Wayne State and to be part of the NSIC. I realize where our program is at. We haven't had a lot of success in recent years. I think 1 winning season in the last 8 years. But there is a tradition of being able to win here in men's basketball. And clearly, if you look at other sports on campus, we have other sports right now that are having a lot of success, not just at the conference level, but also at the national level. So that's exciting to me, and it needs to be our goal. And I believe this is a program in men's basketball that can compete at the upper end of the NSIC, and we can do it with the type of student athletes who are going to represent us very well, not just on the court, but off the court as well and in the classroom. So definitely excited about that possibility. As I look at Wayne State, to me there's already a lot of good things in place. One is we have a very supportive administration. I'm very much looking forward to working for Mike Wicki, the athletic department staff and coaches I've had a chance to work with so far, and particularly the staff upstairs has really been amazing since I've been here. Had an opportunity to deal with a few other departments on campus, and they've been fantastic. So clearly, to me, this is going to be a really good place to work. So I'm looking forward to that. We also have, a good nucleus of young players in the program. And I've said before, any type of success that we may have early is primarily going to be dependent on the development of those players that are in our program. So I'm looking forward, as Coach Stover's looking forward to getting the year started and working with those guys, and also the new guys that we have coming in, and really starting to develop our program. To me, having a successful program is really not that complicated. It's not easy, but it's really not that complicated. You have to have good people. I mean, it obviously helps to have a supportive administration, which I believe we have. You need to have a good coaching staff, which I believe we have. And you have to have talented players, and you have to develop those players, and then you have to develop them into a team. So the formula is not all that complicated, but clearly a big part of being successful here and having good players and developing them is also recruiting good players. And when it comes to recruiting, you really have to, one, be able to sell your basketball program. I think there's so many positive things here about being a basketball player at Wayne State College. You have to be able to sell your community. You have to be able to sell your institution or your college. And I'm going to finish with this, and I'll open it up for questions. 3 weeks ago is when I arrived here, and I was here just for a couple of days, and then I was off recruiting. And I went to Omaha. So my first recruiting trip, I went to the Omaha Sports Academy and went to an AAU tournament there. First time I'm out representing Wayne State, so I've got my Wayne State shirt on. And I was there for an afternoon and an evening, and it was amazing how many people I had come up to me and say something positive or have a good story about Wayne State. I was there for a short time. A guy came up to me and said, "Hey, Coach Kaminsky, congratulations on the job. My son just graduated from Wayne State. Had a great experience there. It's a great school. You're really going to love it there." Short time later, another individual comes up to me and says, "Hey, Coach, well, congratulations on the job. My daughter goes to school there. She loves the city, loves the college. Having a great experience. You're really going to love it there." Short time later, another guy comes up to me. I grew up in Wayne. My parents still live there. My mom worked at the college. Fantastic place to live. Fantastic school. You're really going to love it at Wayne. So finally I get to the end of the night, and there were probably about 10 of those conversations that I had. Finally I get to the end of the night, and they had 4 games going on at a time, so there were 2 games I really wanted to watch. So I planted myself in between the courts. I had a court here, a court there, so I'm watching 2 games, multitasking, so kind of what the coaches do. And one game was ahead of the other one, and the one game gets to halftime, and all of a sudden I see this official kind of charging towards me, and I'm like, what did I do to upset an official already? I've only been in Nebraska for 2 days. And so this guy's coming over, and he says, "Coach, I just want to introduce myself. I went to Wayne State, graduated 10 years ago, great experience, great school, you're going to love it there." We had a short conversation, he had to go back out and officiate. So then I'm watching, this is absolutely true, watching the other game. Gets to halftime. Official, big guy, running over towards me. I'm like, what did I do to this guy? So he comes over and says basically the same thing. He says, Coach, I played basketball at Wayne, went to school there, great experience. He said, I can't tell you enough positive things about Wayne State. I'm from Omaha. I'm now an administrator in the Omaha public school system. And I didn't know if I wanted to go to Wayne, when I came out of Omaha. And he said, it changed my life. He said, Wayne State changed my life. So that was really powerful to me. So I'm leaving, Omaha. And I know one thing, I've been in coaching a long time. And there are so many things to be successful with a program that as a coach, you can't control. There's a lot of things that are completely out of your control. If those things don't work for you, it's going to be more challenging. But I left listening to that stuff thinking, man, we can be successful here. We can be successful here. So I felt good about that. I'm really honored to be the head coach here, and I'm excited about what we can accomplish, and I'm ready to get started. So with that, I appreciate everybody being here. And I will open it up if anyone has any questions. If you have really tough questions, we have Nathan here and Mike over there. But other than that, I'll handle the rest of them.
Coach, two-part question for you. First off, could you describe the style of play that you'd like to bring to Wayne State College? And second, we're looking for people who can provide some critique of the program on a night-to-night basis. And would your mother be available to do that during the course of the season?
That would be dangerous. I'm not sure you could afford her. I'm not sure I can. But no, she'd be more than willing to talk with you. So, but with regard to the program here. I got caught up in my mom, so what was your first question again?
What kind of style of player do you hope to bring to Wayne State?
For me, with regard to style of play, I think that's important. Everybody wants to know about that, but there's certain things to me that have to be inherent in the program that kind of give your program an identity. And for us, our number one thing is that we're going to compete. I mean, we are going to compete. I know every coach says that, but it's imperative that we compete. We're going to have good talent, but to think that we're just going to have more talent than the teams in this league, that's a hard mountain to climb. So we have to really compete at a high level. And I would say, and I'll tell our guys this, whether we have someone come in and watch one of our practices all year, or they come to 2 of our games, or they come to 20 of our games, they should say the same thing when they leave. You guys really compete. I mean, you guys really play hard. So to me, that has, regardless of what we're doing offensively, defensively, that's really important. You need to be, we're a defensive-minded, kind of pair here, and we really believe if you're going to have a chance to compete at a high level, you've got to be able to defend well, and that's going to be really important to us, that we play great defense. And to me, if you can compete, play great defense, be unselfish, you've got a chance to be in games and win games. So, to me, those are, kind of paramount things that we want to have as an identity for our program. That we're going to compete, we're going to really defend, and we're going to be unselfish with how we play. So, I primarily play man-to-man defense, and if I had my way, we'd get out and pressure and get after people. That just kind of depends on our personnel from year to year, and we'll mix defenses up from time to time just to try to keep teams off balance. But primarily, we really teach pressure man-to-man defense, and then offensively run a lot of motion. Depending on our personnel, how much we'll run. If you're going to play a pressure defense, certainly you want to take advantage of maybe getting some easy baskets on the offensive end, and have a disciplined, fast break team, and we'll run some sets that will run into motion. So, and obviously we need to identify what the strengths of our players are and try to put them in the best position to be successful with what we do on the offensive end as well.
Have you met your talent, and is the cupboard bare, the cupboard's fine?
Yeah, I haven't met most of them. I've talked to just about all of them. I think the first day I got the job, besides communicating with my family, the first thing for me to do was to contact my players at Valley City. And so I did that day one, and then shortly after that, my next goal was to contact every player here. And I was pretty successful being able to do that. And I was excited about the conversations I had there in terms of what's going on with them this summer, and all of the returning guys had a commitment to returning back for next season. And so that was good to hear, because you never know what goes on in transition. And so all the returning players have indicated to me that they are coming back. I had a chance to meet 4 of them during the interview process, and 4 of the returning players, and then I had a chance to meet one of our new recruits, Tony Bonner, a week and a half ago up in Omaha at a summer league game. And the other, I met Jordan Cornelius in high school because we recruited him at Valley City, not successfully, but we did recruit him, so we get to work with him here. So I'm looking forward to that. We are trying to put together an elite camp here next Saturday, July 30th. And if we can put that together in a short time, we're going to have hopefully most of our guys back to help with that, and then also get an opportunity to meet the guys we haven't met yet. Deb?
How will you get the alumni back in the fold?
That's the whole question right there. Yeah, that's a loaded question. So that's a good question, though. And alumni are really important, especially because there's been some tradition of success here, and I think there's a lot of pride in the program. I've had some guys reach out to me that, of course, I didn't know prior to coming here, and that was fantastic to know there's some excitement from the alums about having a successful program. So we need to reach out. I think one of the first things, the very first competition we're going to have here is going to be on October 22nd, and that is going to be an alumni game. So we're in the process of contacting alums and trying to get them back here. Obviously, the guys that can really play, and we want to get as many alumni back for that day. It should be a great day. There's a football game, there's a volleyball game, and then we'll have an alumni game that night, and that'll be the first competition we have. So that kind of speaks to how important I feel the alumni are to really kick off our careers here, hopefully with a good turnout and a chance to compete with and against our alums.
Now, will you be going to Creighton to play them in the exhibition?
We will, yeah, unless you can get them here.
I was going to say, 'cause it's going to be kind of tight if they come here.
Yeah, so we would love to have them here, but I'm not sure we can work that one out. But we will be playing at Creighton on November 4th.
And how did that game come together?
Well, I really deserve no credit for that. Mike Powicki put that together, so when I think it was being finalized as I was interviewing, and I was excited about that, and obviously had a chance to tell our players about the opportunity to play them, and extremely excited about that. Clearly will be one of the highlights of our season.
What's your most attractive thing about Wayne State? Why are you here?
Yeah, well, that's a great question too. To me, there's a lot of things that attracted me about Wayne State. Clearly, number one was just the Division II level. I played at Grand Valley, which is obviously a Division II school in Michigan, and I've really had a passion for Division II for a long time. It's just sort of avoided me until now. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. The conference was really appealing. Being so familiar with the league, having played so many teams in the league, that if I went to a Division II school, clearly the NSIC was an appealing conference for me to be in. And then when Wayne opened up, there were just a lot of similarities, even with regard to the community. We live in a smaller community in Valley City. Cindy and I have really enjoyed being there. We've enjoyed being in other smaller communities, so felt like that would be a great fit here. There's a lot of good things about being in a smaller community, and especially if you have a successful program, that's even better. I've been at 3 different colleges before coming here, and all had similarities, being in last place and not being all that competitive, and so kind of an opportunity to look at a program that I think has a lot of positives in place already, and a chance to do that, and work for good people. I certainly did some research on Mike and heard a lot of good things about him and the staff here. So to me, there were a lot of positive things that were in place here, and it's just a matter of hopefully coming in and taking advantage of those things and starting to win games.
And then why, or not why, but as you know, within the conference, you're at a bit of a financial deficit, you know, compared to other programs. What's gonna make you sell your program to everyone else? So, you know, honestly, we start getting more talent.
Right.
And the more you win, the better you are. That's as simple as it is.
That solves a lot of things for sure. And really with regard to that, I mean, starting with that, I mean, if we're recruiting good players, they want to come, you know, somewhere where they can win and succeed. It's very rare you get a really good player that just wants to go to a school that can't win and just because they want to be the guy, and then you don't want those guys in your program anyway. You want guys that are going to be unselfish and have a commitment to winning. So, you know, to me, that's number one. So we don't have that. Obviously, we have some historic traditions there, but we haven't had recent success. So I think one of the things initially is that opportunity to build that success. And there's an attractiveness about that. I mean, in all the places I've been, you know, the first job I took over at Mid-State Tech, they were 1-21 the year before. And we won our first 4 games. And, you know, we still weren't great that year, but it was really exciting to be there at that time. When I went to Superior, our first conference game we played was against UW-Stevens Point, who had, you know, is a national power in Division III. They won, you know, multiple national championships, and Superior had not beaten them in 21 years, and we go down there and we win that first game. I mean, the excitement we had with guys in the locker room there, and then kind of similar thing at Valley City. They hadn't had a winning season since 1987, I think, and we were able to turn things around there. So I think we have to initially sell guys on being part of something that they can do that's special, that hasn't been done in a long time, and really make a name for themselves. And I think that can be attractive to a lot of players. And as you continue on and you have, you know, continued success, then obviously you can sell your successful tradition a little bit more readily, you know, as we continue with our recruiting process.
And I probably didn't ask the question correctly, but I think, like, what I'm trying to get you to allude to is what kind of guy do you want? You know, what guy do you want to come to Wayne State?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing to me, I mean, there's 3 things that we look for in recruiting: character, ability, and toughness. And you know, number one, you got to have, you know, guys that are going to represent you well. I've been in small communities before, so that's paramount. I think it's important wherever you are, but certainly more so in a smaller community. You can't have knuckleheads in your program, or it's going to catch up to you, even if you're winning some games. So that's important. You know, we have to recruit ability. We have to recruit players that can help us win, you know, at the upper level of this league, and that's challenging. That takes a lot of work. We're, you know, certainly not afraid of working at it, and understand there's going to be some challenges with that. But you know, we've done it at 3 different places before, and you know, you talked about maybe having some limitations here. I think the other schools that I've been at have had much more limitations than there are at Wayne. We are funded pretty well with certain things, with scholarships, and you know, location is a challenge, but it also can work for you in cases. There are guys out there that would rather be in a smaller community, that would rather be at a smaller school. And if they're guys that want to be, you know, in a big city and, you know, hit the clubs every night, those aren't the guys we want. So we're not going to waste our time with those guys. But so to me, those are important. And then we need to have tough kids. We need to have guys that are going to compete. And again, it's not about just saying we're going to come in there, well, we're going to get, you know, have more talent than Augustana and Mankato in those schools. I mean,
Sure.
You know, that's kind of far-fetched to think that we're going to be able to do that on a consistent basis. But we're going to get really good talent and guys that are going to compete and guys that are going to have toughness. And that will help us win games.
You mentioned Augustana. That's going to be your first conference game, I believe, when the season gets going. What are your thoughts about making your conference debut against the defending national champions?
Well, I don't know if Mike or who set the schedule up, so we get to go to Creighton, and then we get to go to South Dakota State, and we get to go to Augustana. And our first game is, I think, like against Northwest Missouri, or maybe the best team in the country. So yeah, it's. You know, exactly. So,
Are you sure you did your research on Mr. Kawicki?
I came to the office and I was convinced, I said, Mike, our first 8 games on the road here, we need to have a home game to start with. So we did schedule an exhibition game at home against Midland. So we will start at home, at least in an exhibition. But that's a great barometer, a great way to start to go in and have a chance to knock off the national champs on their home court. And I have a lot of respect for Coach Spiller. He's done a fantastic job there. And we've played their teams before several times at Valley City. So know them well, and I have a lot of respect for what they've done. And I was excited for them and for our league that they were able to win a national championship. They clearly had a group that was in place to do that. But that, even though you have the group in place, doesn't mean it's going to happen. So it's great to see that happen for our league. And what a great way to start the conference season.
This is for Coach Nathan.
All right.
11+ years of counting together. There must be a good chemistry. Can you explain how that chemistry is developed, or how you guys have clicked and worked together?
Maybe I should answer that.
In a weird way, opposites attract. I mean, Coach Kaminsky is very intense, super intense, competitive. Not that I'm not competitive, but there's a good balance there. I'm a little calmer. So I think that helps when we're working with players, managing the game, managing the program. I'm very good with individual players, skill development. That's a strength of mine. And Coach Kaminsky can do that as well, but he can't do that all the time. He needs someone like myself to be able to carry some of that load. I continue to learn from Coach Kaminsky, and I had another opportunity back at Valley City, and this one made more sense. It's a good basketball experience that we continue to have together year after year after year.
Could you talk a bit about your academic expectations for your players, and what kinds of things you and your staff do to ensure that your student athletes take full advantage or equal advantage of their academic and educational opportunities at Wayne State College as they do their athletic opportunities?
Sure, great question, and I'll probably answer part of that, maybe let Nathan answer some of that as well, because he oversees a lot of what we do with our academic program. But our number one expectation for our guys is that they go to class. They go to class and they take advantage of the academic opportunity they have. That's what they're here for primarily. Obviously, basketball is a great motivation for them to come here. But and I will tell guys in the recruiting process, I'll say if you're a guy that likes to miss class or even on occasion, don't come here, because we won't get along. I mean, that's really one of the only times I have issues with guys. And if they don't get a class, go to class, I just don't get along. And ultimately, they're not going to be successful here long term. They may survive for a little while, but we don't want guys that aren't going to be able to survive here long term. So that's really important. And there's a lot of attractive academic programs here, and it's an attractive campus. So to me, that's a real plus and a selling point. I think our guys have been really good in the classroom. I think the first semester we were about 3.17 this past year. We do some things with our guys with regard to an academic notebook that guys keep, and then we have sort of weekly meetings, at least once a week or every other week that we meet individually with guys. To me, that's been a good thing, not just from the standpoint of keeping on top of them academically, but also it gives us a chance to get to know the guys a little bit better, and then there's maybe not surprises out on the court as well, and I think guys kind of understand where they're at all the time. And of course, if you want to talk about what we've done with some other things with the Learning Center. And
I think we've been flexible over the years with our guys, and not every student is identical. We don't make them academic robots. Some of the guys learn differently, and so we've been able to adjust and hold players accountable in different ways. really I mean, you guys will see the definition. I mean, you're defining success from us based on the wins and losses and what you see on the court. I think one of the biggest ways in which we, or at least I measure success is 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road after these players come back to Wayne State. What's going on with their lives? Have we been able to have an impact on them here? And usually if it's going well for them, there's usually, you can look back and there's a track record of academic success that they had here. So in order for them to make that step 5, 10 years down the road, we need to have an impact on their lives academically. And sometimes there's a little bit of tough love that goes into holding the players accountable. And sometimes we're teaching them to be men, but sometimes there's a maturing process, and they need help maturing and leaving the youthfulness behind and learning to get out of bed early and do the things that they got to do, take care of their responsibilities, going to class. And I think it just motivating the players has been a way in which, Coach alluded to the academic meetings that we have. We try to do them once a week. It doesn't always work out that way, so at least once every 2 weeks we're having a sit-down meeting with the players, going over each class, thoroughly checking their grades, their assignments, making sure that they're following through with the things, getting their assignments turned in, sitting in the front row if they can of their classes. All those things, there's lots of things, and it's a culture. It's really a culture that's part of our program on the court, the discipline on the court. The discipline also carries over. There's discipline with going to class and handling the students handling themselves properly in the classroom.
And it's, part of it is, of course, following up with instructors as well, and we, hopefully we'll have the majority of the guys in our program that we really don't even need feedback from instructors, but, I learned a long time ago, if I ask a guy, how's your, algebra class going, and he tells me it's going great, his definition of great may be different than my definition of great, so we, you have to follow up, and, we had a system at Valley City just the past couple of years called Starfish, and we were able to, go and look on and really identify how each of our guys were doing. So when we had those individual meetings, that was a simpler way for us to really keep track. So we have to kind of sort that out here and how that is, will function for us here in terms of monitoring that success. But clearly going to be an important part of our program is how our guys succeed academically.
Coach, you had mentioned your returning players, all said they're coming back. How about your incoming freshmen? Have you heard from all of them that they're coming back? And are there any more additions that might pop up this summer?
Yeah, we have a couple guys that had signed with us that are coming, Tony Bonner, and who I mentioned earlier from Council Bluffs, and then Dylan Wolfman, who's from Laurel. Those guys who are actually signed letters of intent and are planning on coming here. We still are in the process of trying to recruit, maybe 1 or 2 more guys. It just kind of depends on. We don't want to bring guys in just for the sake of bringing guys in. One of the things in talking with all of our players, I also asked them really what they felt was some of our specific needs, and if we could bring in another player or two. What are those areas where we could maybe improve our team? So we're still trying to do that, but we'll only do that if it makes sense in terms of guys fitting in here, especially this late in the year, because obviously a lot of the pool that we would have looked at is already committed to places. But the way you improve your team obviously is by developing the guys you have and then bringing new guys in that can kind of supplement maybe some areas where you're not as strong. So we're still trying to do that. I mean, we're heading to Kansas City tomorrow, and more of what we've been doing here recently is focusing on next year's class, but at the same time, we're still out there trying to improve our team if we can this year. This is giving Linda a lot more work to do, but she's been fantastic. So.
there's no other questions, I'm sure Coach will be available on one-on-ones
Yep.
individually, but thank you everybody for coming, appreciate it.
All right, thank you.